Well, looking at companies reporting, Litha Healthcare has reported a 386% increase in second quarter earnings per share. Operating profit up 77% for the same period. Those are quite big numbers. Joining us now live from the JSE to unpack the quarterly and half-year numbers further is Selwyn Kahanovitz, who is CEO of Litha Healthcare. And joining us in the studio is Francois Duplessis, Director at Vega Asset Management. Selwyn, that number looks very big, the increase in earnings, but it's by a few cents. But it's always interesting when turnover is down and earnings and profit are up.
Good morning to you. Yes, thanks very much. I think we must remember that we did make a big acquisition middle of last year, and we had quite a few quarters after that acquisition in just bedding it down. So we did come off quite a low base, and that clearly is part of the reason. I think in terms of our turnover, quarter on quarter, that second quarter to first quarter, it was a bit flattish. Pharma was about 1% down, medical was in fact about 12% up, and the vaccines were down, and that was only because of the seasonality of our quarter one sales.
Right, and looking at the company, vaccines, medical equipment and pharmaceuticals, so that's the balance. What is the balance in terms of revenue and profit from those three contributors?
Okay, it's 55% pharma, and that's only really come through now since the Pharma Plan acquisition. So we're really pleased with our pharma being 55% of the revenue. Our medical is 30% and our vaccines 15%. And remembering as well that BioVac Institute, which is our public-private partnership with government, those results have been deconsolidated. So they're really as a one-line item in our numbers.
Francois?
Selwyn, on the medical side, turnover up 20%. And you say that's mainly due to forensic tender sales. Now, what exactly are forensic tenders?
Yeah, we had a tender with the forensic laboratories for kits that we need to supply, and that tender was quite delayed last year and only really came out in the middle of quarter one. So we started receiving the orders and we could only start dispatching the product in quarter two.
Selwyn, what about the risks in this sector? You know, it's such an interesting sector, and one hears the analysts on shows like this and other shows talking about growth in the sector is inevitable, it's going to come. But it's also a tricky sector to be in. You have medicine capping, for example, the price capping. You have regulatory issues and some uncertainty there. So how do you fit into this landscape, and where do you see the risks to the business?
For us, so we're a diversified healthcare business, so we have three divisions, and we believe we can mitigate some of that risk that way. So we have a medical device business that's a little bit less regulated. Our pharma business and vaccines are regulated, as you say, but that's the business we know. We come from that industry. We're pharmacists. We understand the regulations, and we just got to deal with it.
Selwyn, the biotech business contributes about 30% of your turnover. The vaccine business in general in South Africa, how large is that?
Well, we have in our vaccine business, quite a big part of that is our public-private partnership with government, where we supply all of the children's vaccines to the Department of Health, who then immunize newborns to school-going age children in the country. And then as well as that, we have a private market business, which is a lot smaller, and we do some tender work as well. So in total, our revenue for the first half, if we just take the BioVac Institute, is about 700 million rand for the first half, and our other two divisions in the biotech is about 100 million.
Selwyn, I noticed that if we take that total return index, if you put 1,000 rand into the company 5 years ago, you'd now have 4,000, so you've done quite good things for investors there. On the last year, it's a negative return, but up to 5 years, it's not. Your market cap is another number that's grown substantially from December 2011 to 2012. That's quite a long time ago. It grew by 80%. So this has been a growing company. Are you going to continue to grow at such rates?
Yeah, we're a growth stock, so there's no question that we're looking at organic as well as acquisitive growth. And remember, we did do this big deal with Pharma Plan middle of last year, which for us was game-changing. It really expanded our pharma business from in fact, if you just look at our 6 monthly results, middle of last year was 86 million for pharma, and now it's 286 million. So we really have moved quite a bit on the pharma side. But we are looking organically in all of our divisions, especially the medical and the pharma, and acquisitively as well.
What about the National Health Plan, the National Health Insurance Plan? They've had pilot studies in certain areas. The word is that those pilot studies have yet to really get off the ground. Perhaps not a surprise given the shortage of practitioners, nurses, doctors, facilities and so on. To what extent are you exposed to the pressure to get that National Health Scheme underway? Can you contribute to it? I know some of the health companies have said, let's work with government here wherever we can and try and help them meet their agenda.
Yeah, I think we certainly would like to work together with the Department of Health on that. We have quite a large part of some part of our product portfolio that would be specifically to the NHI program, clearly generics in the pharmaceutical side, as well as consumables that we would be able to supply into the public sector hospitals once they have been revitalized and are part of that NHI stream.